Hello, you're especially welcome to this YouTube channel. In this particular video, I'm going to be doing a very powerful presentation on an exceptional business opportunity, which has actually been in the market for the past 7 years now, notably a business that has been put in place by an exceptional company which goes by the name Platinworld. So I'm going to be walking you through some of the elements that constitute the ecosystem of this company. And of course, definitely, I'm going to show you exactly how you can make use of, the various products that have been put in place by this company to make a lot of money for yourself, especially now that we are very close to the next bull run in the BTC, cryptocurrency in the market. For those of you who are enthusiasts in the crypto space, you should be aware by now that we have a bull run, which is extremely very close. That is counting from the day, this particular day I'm doing this presentation. So in the next couple of weeks, we are going to be entering the bull run, and the bull run is actually led by Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is going to be undergoing another halving in its history of existence. And usually when there is a halving in BTC, it is actually a period when almost all the bulls are on a high mask or are on the run in the market, meaning the speed at which they are actually taking off is extremely very high. So we are about to experience such again. But that notwithstanding, I want to take you directly into the ecosystem of this particular company I just spoke to you about, which is a company that equally deals in cryptocurrencies, that is Platinworld. So Platinworld, as a matter of fact, is a conglomerate of businesses under the name Platin Genesis. So Platinworld is just, as a matter of fact, one of the businesses that actually make up Platin Genesis as a whole. And this particular section of it has to do with cryptocurrencies, particularly with two major cryptocurrencies that the company is actually investing a lot of its efforts on, notably the Ultima token and the smart coin, which is exactly what I'm going to be expatiating more on in the minutes ahead. So stay tuned till the end of this presentation, and trust me, there's a whole lot back. You have a whole lot to learn, and I'm going to be presenting to you a lot of amazing things, amazing opportunities, amazing products and services that you can't resist taking advantage of all of them. But just before I get into showing you some of these things, a very short disclaimer I would like to make here, just in case you are getting to go through this video probably for the very first time. This disclaimer is extremely very important. I would like you to understand that the content of this slide is solely for the purpose of information, meaning solely for information purposes, and definitely constitutes no call to action. You are therefore advised to do your own analysis, do your own research in the market, and end up taking the decision by your own self. Lastly, I would like to make you understand that part of all of the information contained in this slide is susceptible to change by the company as it might deem it fit at any time. So this is extremely very important. Remember, we are dealing with businesses online. This is an online business, just like we have many others that do exist. And whenever you want to venture in any business that has to do with, or which resides online, meaning on the internet or in the internet space, you definitely have to do a lot of due diligence before you get involved. The highest thing somebody can do is introduce a business as such to you and maybe give you some elements that can serve as an impetus for you to get on board. But that doesn't mean the person is actually asking you 100% to get on board immediately. So everything still relies on your own due diligence. Means you have to do your own verifications, do your own analysis, do all the checks that you possibly can do, and then end up taking the decision on your own. So do not feel coerced at any point in time or feel obliged to take action based on the information I'm going to be sharing with you through this particular video. So the information should only serve maybe as a catalyst. It should only serve as a catalyst, but let me say 30% that will be left of it, or should I say 50% as a matter of fact, that will be left after you would have watched everything that has to do with the content of this video. The 50% is actually left in your own hands in terms of the decision making, whether to get on board or not. So 50% of the decision is entirely in your hands. So please make sure you do your own verification at your own level and take the decision based on how convinced you are about it. Extremely very, very important. Now, just before I get into showing you, things that have to do particularly with this company, Let me first of all speak on a broad-based perspective, talking generally about the crypto space. A lot of people have, very negative sentiments whenever the name crypto is mentioned. When the word crypto is mentioned anywhere, most of them really don't like to hear any other information that comes after that, because they have very negative impressions. Either some of them have got to invest, with some platforms. Remember, a platform is different from cryptocurrency. Cryptocurrency is one thing. A platform that deals with cryptocurrencies is another. So let us not mix up these two. Usually, like I said, when some people hear the name crypto or cryptocurrency, they start developing a lot of cold feet. To them, they know that this is something that causes people to lose a lot of money. That can probably be true, especially for those who have been investing in platforms. If you are somebody who has been, let's say, involved with platforms, and that at some point, maybe the business that the platform was actually running, using cryptocurrencies went sour or turned sour, that definitely, to an extent, gave you the impression that crypto as a whole is a very bad venture. But I'm actually trying to make you understand through this particular video, presentation, that cryptocurrency is far beyond what you are thinking it is. It is far beyond what you have probably heard others sharing as information or experiences related to cryptocurrencies. As a matter of fact, it's just like somebody who deals with fiat currencies. If you are somebody who deals with, let's say, US dollars, for instance, or you are dealing with euros, or you are dealing with pounds, or you are dealing with South African rands, or with franc CFA, or with naira, or with Ghana cedis, all of those currencies. If you do business with somebody using any of such currencies and the person dupes you, or the person doesn't, respect the terms and conditions of the business transactions you people had together. For instance, assuming that you had a business transaction with somebody, like there are some goods you intend to get from somebody in exchange for your own money. If you eventually give the money to the person and you are expecting the person to supply you with goods on probably a later date, and eventually the person doesn't get to supply you with those goods on that later date, let's even assume that the person happens to abscond with your money completely. So what is the conclusion you are going to make? Are you now going to say that, assuming that the currency you actually pay the person in is the US dollar, maybe you pay the person, say, for instance, 500 US dollars for the person to supply you some goods worth that particular amount, and the person doesn't do that, and you pay the person $500. Now that the person has absconded, you can't reach the person using any means. So what is the conclusion you are going to make? Are you now going to say that US dollars is a scam, or you are going to say the person with whom you did the business is a scam? So where is the problem located? Is it with the currency, or the problem is with the person with whom you did the business transaction, who probably never honored his own part of the deal? So I believe your conclusion right now as to the right statement to make is that the person with whom you did such business with was the scam or is the scam, and not that US dollars is a scam. So the currency never has a problem. Usually the problem is with the person with whom you did a transaction. So if you did a transaction with that person and everything turns sour, you are not, by that, or you are not going to, let's say, on the strength of that or on account of that, condemn the currency itself. The currency itself has no problem. The problem is with the person with whom you got involved in such a business transaction, who never honored his or her own part of the deal. So this is exactly what happens with most of the platforms many people out there invest their money on. So the problem is usually not with crypto. Crypto, as a matter of fact, is legitimate. Proof of it is the fact that ever since some people started having these negative impressions about cryptocurrencies, or ever since some people actually embarked on condemning cryptocurrencies for several years now, till this particular moment that I'm speaking, cryptocurrencies are gaining more and more grounds in the market. Why is it so? If it were that bad, if the problem was with the crypto, that's the currency referred to as crypto, even though we have different types of cryptocurrencies, just like we have different types of fiat currencies, like you talk of the US dollars, the euros, the franc CFA, South African rand, Ghana cedis, and the rest. Those are all, in fact, examples of fiat currencies. In the crypto space also, cryptocurrency is a legitimate currency. And we have different types also, like you'll be hearing of Bitcoin, Monero, Litecoin, Ethereum, Ultima token, smart coins, what have you, Litecoin, and the rest. There are so many types. Just like in the fiat space, we have different currencies used by different nations also in the world. In the electronic space, it's also the same thing that happens. So we need to make a distinction between a currency and the platform that is doing some kind of business, and the currency they are making use of in those business transactions are cryptocurrencies, for instance. So always try to make a separation between these two, between the currency and the platform, and whatever the platform is actually doing as a form of business and using a particular crypto as a payment method or as a payment mechanism. So that is very important. That aside, that is on one hand. That is on one hand. Even though this is not to say that we don't have fake cryptocurrencies in the market. That's not what I'm saying. Of course, we have cryptocurrencies also in the market which are fake. Just like in normal society, when dealing with fiat money, like for instance, franc CFA, you also have counterfeiting. You also have counterfeit franc CFA. So it exists everywhere. It is not just in the domain of crypto. So you have currencies which are equally fake, which are not backed by anything. But now we don't want to go into what gives a strength to a currency, if it is backed by some mineral resources, or is backed by, let's say, fiat currency, or is backed by some government support or whatever. We are not going into that as yet. That is another lesson for another day. But now the basics, let us talk about the legitimate cryptocurrencies that exist in the market, the real ones, the genuine ones. People still invest in such cryptocurrencies and lose money. Why is it that most people invest in legitimate cryptocurrencies and still lose money at the end of the day? Very simple. This is the principal reason why they often do that, which is exactly what I want to show you right now. Why most people always lose money in cryptocurrencies. In fact, we are talking about legitimate cryptocurrencies here. Why is it that people invest in such legitimate cryptocurrencies and still lose money? The reason is simple. Now, we have two main categories of cryptocurrencies. You have cryptocurrencies which are classified under the group referred to as stable cryptocurrencies. Means that they don't vary too much. It's not that they don't vary, they do vary, but their interval or the tolerance margin within which they actually vary is extremely very small, so much so that we consider that they are stable. So we refer to them as stable cryptocurrencies. Examples of such are USDC. You have USDT as well. Those are some examples of stable cryptocurrencies. Now, we have a second group, which is referred to as the group of volatile cryptocurrencies or fluctuating cryptocurrencies. So these are the two main groups under which cryptocurrencies are classified. Now, I want to talk to you particularly about this second group, which is the group of volatile cryptocurrencies, because you only get to make, in fact, you only get to make a lot of money investing in crypto when you invest particularly in volatile cryptocurrencies. So we don't really make money using stable cryptocurrencies because those ones are not traded. We don't trade stable cryptocurrencies. We can only trade unstable cryptocurrencies, in other words, volatile cryptocurrencies. Because what is trading? In simple terms, trading is buying something at a cheaper price and selling it again at a higher price. And if I say a currency is stable, meaning that it doesn't go down in value that much, it doesn't go up in value also that much, we consider that it's relatively constant in price throughout. So you can't trade such a cryptocurrency because it is stable. So we trade mostly volatile cryptocurrencies because they go up in value and come down in value. So those are the ones that most people actually, in fact, almost everybody is expected to be investing in. That's for those who really have as an objective to make a lot of money investing in cryptocurrencies. Then the right cryptocurrencies for you to invest in should be volatile cryptocurrencies. Now, when you look at this graph here, this is the pattern that is used by all volatile cryptocurrencies, meaning that any cryptocurrency which is classified under unstable cryptocurrencies, in other words, volatile cryptocurrencies, this is how they work. This is how they work. Unfortunately, a majority of people who invest in cryptocurrencies don't do their investment having at the back of their mind the fact that this is how all of those cryptocurrencies behave. And if you don't know how to interpret this graph, that is where your problem actually begins. In fact, your problems begin from here. because of your inability to interpret this graph. Take note, if you want to start investing, if you want to begin a journey in cryptocurrencies, with your objective being to buy cryptocurrencies when they are cheap and selling them again when they are, expensive in terms of price in the market, so as to get something called profit or an income. If that is actually your objective, getting into cryptocurrencies, then where you should actually get started is from the interpretation of this graph. If you don't know how to do the interpretation of this graph, please don't take any further steps into investing in unstable cryptocurrencies. Why? Because your end is already determined from the beginning. And what is that end? Bad impressions, negative feelings, condemnations, very bad words. Those are the things that will be animating your feeling as a person. And if you are not careful, you can even get to the extent of, let's say, picking some kind of a heart attack. You can easily develop high blood from this particular business, cryptocurrency business or investment. Why? Because of your inability to interpret this. That is why you often realize that sometimes, or let's say around your neighborhood, you have people who are always jubilating, who are always giving, you the impression that cryptocurrencies are working very well for them. Like each time they invest in any cryptocurrency, they always make a lot of money. But you realize that it's probably usually not the case with you. And you'll be asking yourself the question, is it that these people use some extra magical powers? Is it that there is something else that they are doing that you are not doing? Of course, yes. There is something else that they know that you probably don't know. And it's not like it's something which is hidden. It's something which is exposed to everybody to know. What is that thing? It's the interpretation of this graph. If you don't know how to interpret this, it's a problem. Now, when you see the graph moving upward this way on this edge, it therefore means that the price of the digital asset, whichever digital asset you're interested in, if you see this movement upward, it means that the price of such a digital asset is increasing in the market. When you see this particular position, this peak, it means that the increase in the price of that digital asset has attained its highest level. Now, when you see this one dropping down this way, it therefore means the price of such a digital asset is rather having a nosedive or is decreasing, is reducing. And when it reduces, it has to reach somewhere. It touches the bottom or the peak from below. And then it does what? It starts moving upward again in price. Once it reaches here, it maxes at this point. And then it starts going down. All volatile cryptocurrencies behave like this. All of them behave like this. So the most important thing is not just understanding that all of them behave like this. After understanding that this is how all of them actually work, this is the pattern that most of them follow. So how is that information important? How is your knowing that all of them behave like this important or going to influence the possibility of you getting to make wealth in crypto or in such a digital asset? Because the important thing is not just knowing this profile. Knowing this profile is just to permit you to have an idea or to know or to understand when to get into the market to purchase such an asset, when to hold on it, and when to get into the market to sell off such an asset. Because the most important thing, in fact, the essence of you even investing in such a cryptocurrency or such a digital asset is that you want to buy it at a cheaper rate so as to get back into the same market and sell it off to another person at a higher price, so as to make what we refer to as profit or gains. That's the principal reason for you even investing in all of this. Which means, after going through this graph is supposed to give you an idea of when you are supposed to get into the market to buy that particular asset at a cheaper rate. And it should also give you information when to, sell off the particular digital asset you just purchased at a higher rate, without which you wouldn't talk of profit. Because profit simply means the price at which you sold minus the price at which you bought that particular product. So your selling price minus the purchase price is what represents your profit. But you need to know when to buy. You need to know when to sell. You even need to know when to just hold on to the asset. Meaning that you are not buying, you are not selling. You have the asset already with you, just hold on to it. Don't bother about going to sell yet. So if you don't understand when to do these three things, then trust me, your journey in cryptocurrencies will be a very sad one. You always be a very sad person. You always be somebody with very negative impressions. You always be animated by negative energies. Why? Because the problem is from you. Because you lack the knowledge. There's no business anybody gets to invest in and expects to reap a huge benefit without having basic knowledge on such a business. It's not because somebody spoke to you that there is such and such a cryptocurrency which is doing well in the market. If you only rely on such recommendation made to you by somebody to invest in a digital asset, then don't just blame that person alone. Also blame yourself, because you are getting yourself involved with a business that you have very little or no knowledge on the business. There is no legitimate business person who only invests in a particular business based on the recommendation that somebody has made. That's why you also have to do your own verifications. Verify certain things for yourself. If you don't know how to go about the verification processes, then take the pains to learn how that is done. There are so many YouTube videos. There are so many videos on YouTube. On my channel, on this particular channel, you can as well stumble on such videos that can give you little basics on cryptocurrencies. Or if you really want to have a one-on-one discussion on training, on-hand training, on basics about cryptocurrency, how to get started in the crypto business, you can as well get to me inbox, because I do run, training programs as such, particularly for people who are referred to as cryptocurrency illiterates, who want to become literate in cryptocurrencies from the very grassroots, meaning from the basics. So always make sure that you possess substantial knowledge, without which get at least the very basic knowledge in any business you want to get involved with. That is very important. Now, back to this graph. So when you see the asset moving upward this way, or when you see this rising H representing a particular asset, that is simply telling you that the price of that asset is moving upward, like I said earlier. And when the price is moving upward, what does that tell you? That simply tells you that this is not a good period for anybody to purchase such a product. Don't buy here. Why? Because you can't get to the market. For instance, you want to buy a basket of tomatoes, and you are told that the price is constantly on the rise, and you still choose to go and buy those tomatoes as a business person that you want to be. So you don't buy a product when the price is moving upward, or when the price is already at the peak. For instance, when it moves and reaches here, this means that this is the highest price that the product has actually attained in terms of value. So you don't buy, we don't purchase products at this level, especially if you are a business person, if you are a trader. You don't actually, this is not a good level for you to buy. Even though if you decide to purchase here, you are still better off than the person who purchased at this level. And the person who purchased here is still better off than the person who purchased here. And the person who purchased here is still better off than any other person who purchased along the line till it reaches this point. So when it reaches the maximum, what happens? It starts moving downward. What does that tell you? That the price of that product is doing what? Is moving downward. When the price is moving downward, this is the best period for anybody to buy such an asset. It is good as a trader for you to buy a product when the price is instead dropping, when the price is dropping down. That is a good period for you to buy. So this is a period meant for those who are willing to buy that particular digital or such a digital asset, for them to get into the market and purchase. Now, the best price will even be down here for somebody who is interested in purchasing. So once the price is nosediving or is going down, somebody who has studied the market well, who knows very well that the price is going to reach this bottom position, the person will not buy here, nor here, nor here, nor anywhere along this line. The person will just come and wait for the market to come to him or her at this point. Once it reaches this point, what happens? The person purchases, because the price will now be corresponding to a certain amount somewhere here on the reference. So if the person purchases at this point, if he purchases at this point, and the price again starts moving upward, the price is climbing. Let's say the person actually did a purchase here, and the price starts rising, the price of that particular asset starts rising again in the market. If it rises to, let's say, this position, then this person is already in profit. If he waits again further and the price keeps moving upward, that means the person is getting into bigger profit. If the person eventually decides to sell when it is already at this peak, that means the person is going to get the highest profit in that particular market on that particular asset. Now, when it reaches here, as a wise person, the person sells the product off, because from this moment, what happens? the price starts going down. So if the person sells off the product at this level, whatever money that he or she has made from there, the person can decide to come again to the next bottom to buy the same product again at a cheaper rate, waiting for the next rise to get again into the market to do another sales. This is how we make profit in cryptocurrency. So tell me how possible it is for somebody to be able to make serious money in cryptocurrencies being unable to interpret these periods or these intervals. For instance, if the price of the asset is going up, let's say it has moved up to this maximum position, and you as a person who is investing in crypto, this is instead the time that you get into the market to buy that product when the price is already at the highest level. This is where somebody is buying. If you do your own purchase here, if you purchase that product, what are your expectations? You will be expecting that since you've done your purchase here, the product should do what? Should keep climbing also in value so that you can go back to the market and sell. Unfortunately, this was already the maximum point. So what happens? You realize that the product starts dropping in value in terms of price. It's rather dropping downward. What do you think will be the impressions that will force themselves into your mind? Of course, you will just be animated with what? Negative impressions, because you'll be expecting the price to keep climbing, but it already reached the maximum. And what is it going to do from there? It has to start dropping again. And you who does not understand the interpretation or how to interpret all of this, what happens? When you realize that the price is going down, you start blaming people here and there. You start blaming probably the person who spoke to you about the business. Since you did not do any verifications on your own, you start saying that, oh, somebody has introduced you into the wrong business. How comes just at the moment you invested, what happens? The price started dropping. It's like the people who own the particular digital asset were just waiting for you to get on board, for them to start crashing the price. That's exactly what you are going to say, which is not true, because you got into the market, purchased a digital asset at the wrong time. You did the right thing at the wrong moment. So if you eventually wait, you realize that the price is dropping at this level, you might probably want to console yourself to say, okay, maybe within the next few seconds, it might start going back upward. But if you wait longer and you realize that the price keeps dropping, it keeps going right down. By the time it's approaching the bottom here, maybe that's when you get gripped again more by fear. You'll be thinking that what if you keep waiting and the price finally goes right down to zero, like the business eventually closes or the coin disappears. That's the impression that you'll be having, because you are not acting on emotions. You are not acting based on sentiment, based on fear. So you realize that exactly at this point, what will happen? You start telling yourself, no, it's better you sell off that product than to wait for the price to completely go down to zero. So since you are now acting on sentiment, if you sell your product at this level, something which you bought at this higher price, now it is down at the lowest price. If you sell it off here, what have you done? You've lost money. This is exactly what is happening to many people in the crypto market. Many people lose money because of this. They don't know when to buy and when to sell. So on the rising edge, this is the period which is good for somebody to purchase, or rather to sell, sorry. The rising edge is meant for people to sell, while the falling edge is meant for people to buy. Of course, I know somebody will start asking, if you are selling here, who are you actually selling to? Because you can only sell to somebody who is buying. Of course, there are some people who are not buying cryptocurrencies obligatorily because they want to trade that same currency later on. No. There are some people who need to buy a particular currency to make use of it to register on other platforms, or to make use of them to purchase certain products, certain end products. Those kind of people, if they're interested in a particular product and the seller of such product says, I only accept cryptocurrencies, for instance, such a person will not have the choice. Maybe the person actually wants that particular product at that particular moment. He has no choice than to go to the market and buy the cryptocurrency at the price he or she is going to meet in the market at that time. So let the person meet you in the market when the price of your product is actually moving upward. So he is obliged to purchase from you. But you as a business person who wants to buy and sell later on, only wait for these dropping areas or these falling edges to buy. And you wait for the rising edges to do what? To sell. That way you create that difference between your selling price and the price at which you did the purchase. So that what you have as the difference should represent what? Your profit margin. So you can actually get to build that profit margin like that gradually until it becomes something worthwhile, something substantial for you. So this is how people build crypto portfolio. It means that you can begin with something small and you grow it through your ability to interpret these intervals meaning through your ability to know when to buy an asset, when to hold on to it, and when to get into the market. Now, assuming that you were able to purchase, let's say, your digital asset here, and the price actually went up, probably you will still expecting the price to keep moving upwards so that you can get into the market and sell. And you realize that, on the contrary, the price is rather dropping. Probably you did your own purchase of the asset here, and you realize the price is that dropping, and it finally drops even below the price at which you sold. What do? You don't have to feel panic. Don't feel any element of panic. What are you expected to do in such a situation when the price of the digital asset suddenly goes below the price at which you bought it? That is when you are expected to do what? Hold on to the asset. Don't sell. Hold on to it. So these are the three components that you are supposed to understand, or the three, pillars that you are supposed to know about. First, when to enter the market to buy. Secondly, when are you supposed to hold on to the asset, meaning you are not selling, just hold it. Thirdly, when are you supposed to enter the market and sell? So this is a situation of somebody who is expected to hold on to the asset because the price is already below the price at which the person did the purchase. So hold on to it until the price of the asset starts rising again to that same amount of money you used or you spent in purchasing the price or the product, or at least it should go somehow above that price at which you bought the asset for you to sell and then start talking of a profit. So this is exactly how, how the graph of all volatile cryptocurrencies look like. And if you don't know how to do this interpretation, sorry, that is where your problems actually begin. Now, I'm going to use a simple example. For those of you who have actually been members of this particular business, which has been put in place by a company that goes by the name Platinworld. If you have been with Platinworld, maybe you invested with Platinworld during the era of PLC or PLCU or PLCU Classic or PLCU X. Of course, many people have very very negative impressions about that particular farming era. Now, I'm going to explain in few steps exactly what happened, because it's always good for you to understand what actually happened and what is the solution that can be put in place to salvage such a situation. So it's very important for you to understand why what happened actually happened. Now, this is exactly how it all started. For those who started off with PLC or PLCU or PLCUX or whichever, excuse me. As a matter of fact, all of that had to do with farming, the farming of cryptocurrencies. So at the very beginning, this is what happens whenever you are dealing with any cryptocurrency that works with the farming. Now, with farming, which is what we call yield farming, at the beginning of the farming period, or at the beginning of such, a venture or such an investment, those who get on board early enough, for instance, these are them here, mean that few persons got on board, they purchased farms, and then they were able to purchase coins and loaded those coins in those farms. There were few of them in number. Since there were few in number, which means that they were the only ones who had bought the farms and had loaded the farms, and they were the ones generating new coins, whether they were new PLC coins, PLCU or PLCUX coins, but they were producing new coins and doing what? And sending them to the market. So when other people started learning about the business, that there is a powerful business that whereby instead of you doing mining of those coins, you are instead doing what we call minting of the coins using your smartphone only. You don't need what we call mining rigs. You don't need any rig, because mining rigs consume a lot of electricity. A lot of electricity is consumed when dealing with mining. That is the more reason why many people don't invest again in mining of cryptocurrency. Mining is no longer profitable. So a substitute for that, or an alternative for that, for mining, is farming. Now, farming also has its own shortcoming. So at the beginning, those who joined early enough, they were the ones who were minting coins and sending them to the market. And since a bigger population now had learned of the existence of such, what happens? Many people were trooping in. They wanted also to have that possibility of getting to mint their own coins from the comforts of their home. So you realize that there was a huge demand. This demand, all of these people bought farms, no doubt, but they needed what? The same coins to load inside their farms. Where were they to get these same coins? They had to purchase these coins from this fewer number of people who were already producing the coins and sending them in the market. So they came with this huge demand, imposed that huge demand on the coins that were being produced by a fewer number of persons. What was the consequence of that? A price increase, a price hike in those various coins, whether PLC, PLCU, PLCUX, or PLCU Classic. So since the demand was very high against a very small supply, what happens? A price increase. You saw that the price actually went up to about 100 and something thousand US dollars. Now, when all of these people eventually bought their own farms, loaded them with the coins they got from these people, they too became, in the long run, potential producers of the same coin. So look at all of them producing the same coins. And now, since almost everybody was now a producer of new coins, how many new persons were joining the business? A fewer number of people were coming in, very small. And this smaller number of persons needed to buy coins also to load in their own farms. How many people were now selling those coins in the market? So many people. So what was the demand? A very small demand imposed on a huge supply. What was the consequence? A drop